Welcome to Starbound Valor HFY. Subscribe now and dive into daily epic sci-fi adventures where humanity always rises. The day peace was announced, the galaxy stopped breathing. Screens across hundreds of worlds lit up with the same message. The war was over. The treaty was signed. After decades of fire, loss, and broken planets, peace had finally come. Alien cities filled with lights. Crowds gathered in the streets. Ships fired harmless signals into the sky like fireworks. For most species, this was the happiest day in their history. For humanity, it was just another quiet morning. On Earth, there were no celebrations. No loud cheers. No flags in the streets. Human cities continued their routine as if nothing special had happened. Trains ran on time. Factories worked as usual. Schools stayed open. News channels reported the treaty, but their tone was calm, almost cold. Human faces did not show joy. They showed focus. Deep inside government buildings, doors closed and locks engaged. The real response had begun. The peace treaty had been signed aboard the Grand Diplomatic Station, a massive structure floating in neutral space. Alien leaders stood proudly before the cameras. They spoke of unity, trust, and a future without war. When the human representative stepped forward, he smiled politely and said very little. He agreed to the terms. He shook hands. He signed the document. To the galaxy, it looked like acceptance. To humanity, it was confirmation. The war had not been small. Humanity had fought hard and survived against stronger, older empires. Many believed humans were lucky. Others thought they were reckless. The aliens assumed humanity was tired, weak, and desperate for peace. That belief was the first mistake. Humans had learned long ago that survival did not belong to the strongest. It belonged to the most careful. As the treaty broadcast ended, a silent signal traveled across human space. It did not appear on any public channel. It did not use normal communication paths. It was short and simple. 3 words only. Begin silent watch. Across planets, moons, and deep space stations, hidden systems woke up. Sensors adjusted. Artificial minds shifted focus. Fleets that did not officially exist changed their position slightly, just enough to see without being seen. In a secure room beneath Earth's surface, human leaders gathered around a dark table. No flags. No cameras. No speeches. Just data. A large screen displayed the treaty text line by line. Analysts had already marked several sections in red. The language was polite, but the structure was wrong. Certain words were placed too carefully. Certain limits were too vague. To aliens, it meant compromise. To humans, it meant freedom to move weapons legally. One general leaned forward and pointed at a section about shared security zones. "They say peace," he said calmly, "but they are placing their fleets closer to our borders." Another officer nodded. "And they ask us to reduce patrols." "Not them. Only us." No one raised their voice. No one showed anger. This was not fear. This was pattern recognition. Far from Earth, in human outer colonies, people watched the same announcement. Some felt relief. Some hoped the war was truly over. But even there, something felt different. Military bases did not shut down. Training schedules did not change. Supply ships continued to move, hidden behind civilian routes. Humanity did not relax. Humanity observed. On the Grand Diplomatic Station, alien leaders celebrated with drinks and laughter. They spoke openly, believing the war species had finally accepted its place. One commander joked that humans were easy to pressure in the end. Another said peace treaties always worked on young races. None of them noticed that the human delegation had already left. None of them noticed the silence from human space. Hours later, alien fleets began moving. Officially, it was routine repositioning under the new treaty rules. Unofficially, it was the first step of a plan written long before the final battle ended. The aliens believed humans would see it too late. They believed fear would slow human response. They believed wrong. Human intelligence had predicted this movement weeks ago. The moment the treaty was signed, simulations updated in real time. Every possible path, every possible attack angle, Every possible betrayal was already mapped. Humanity did not guess. Humanity prepared. In a quiet command center orbiting a dead moon, a young officer watched data streams flow like water. She had never seen peace before. She had grown up during the war. Yet her heart did not race. Her hands did not shake. She trusted the systems. She trusted the plan. Above her screen, a simple message appeared. Observation phase active. No alarms. No panic. Just patience. Back on Earth, the human representative watched the Galaxy News replay his handshake again and again. The commentators praised his calm smile. They called it hope. He turned off the screen. His smile faded instantly. He opened a secure channel and spoke softly. "They think we believe in peace," he said. "Let them." He paused, then added, "We will not strike first. We will not warn them. We will simply be ready." As the first cycle of peace ended, alien ships crossed invisible lines they believed no one guarded. Human sensors tracked every move. No weapons fired. No messages sent. The galaxy slept under the illusion of safety. Humanity stayed awake. Because from the very beginning, humans knew one truth the rest of the galaxy ignored. Peace announced too easily was never real. And treaties signed in silence were often written in blood. Peace had a strange sound to it. Across the galaxy, it sounded like music, laughter, and relief. Across human space, it sounded like silence. The kind of silence that comes before a storm. Humanity did not celebrate the treaty. Humanity studied it. While other species stored away their weapons, humans opened old files, secret files, and files that were never meant to exist. Peace, to humanity, was not an ending. It was a test. Deep inside human intelligence networks, teams worked without rest. The treaty text was broken into thousands of parts. Every word, every pause, every translated phrase was compared across alien languages. Humans understood something others did not. Language could lie even when words looked friendly. The treaty spoke of balance, but its structure leaned in only one direction. It limited human movement. It allowed alien flexibility. It promised safety, but it removed warning time. Artificial intelligence systems highlighted patterns that human eyes alone might miss. Certain phrases repeated in older alien treaties, treaties that ended in conquest. The wording was almost the same. Only the names had changed. Humanity had studied alien history during the war. They knew this tactic. Peace first. Trust second. Control last. At the same time, human sensors detected movement. Alien fleets shifted slowly, carefully, staying within treaty limits. On public channels, alien leaders explained it as defensive positioning. They spoke of shared protection and stability. But human data showed something else. Supply ships followed those fleets. Repair units stayed close. Weapon platforms powered up, then down, testing response times. It was not defense. It was preparation. Human commanders gathered again, this time across multiple systems through secure quantum links. Faces appeared on dark screens. Calm faces. Focused faces. One by one, reports came in. Border sectors showed increased alien traffic. Deep space routes were being mapped by unknown probes. Communication delays were tested. Each report confirmed the same conclusion. The trap was not closing yet, but it was being built. In public, humanity acted normal. News channels spoke about rebuilding and cooperation. Human diplomats smiled and attended meetings. Trade ships moved freely. Human colonies sent friendly messages to alien neighbors. Everything looked peaceful. This was not weakness. This was camouflage. Behind the scenes, Project Silent Watch expanded. Hidden observation arrays activated around key star systems. Old mining stations revealed new purposes. Civilian satellites adjusted their orbits slightly, giving better coverage. Nothing that would break the treaty. Nothing that would raise suspicion. Humanity followed the rules exactly, while watching those who planned to break them. On an alien world far from human space, a council meeting took place. Alien leaders reviewed reports and found nothing alarming. Human fleets were quiet. Patrol numbers were lower, just as the treaty demanded. No aggressive signals. No protests. One leader stated confidently that humanity had accepted reality. Another suggested the humans were relieved the war was over. Laughter followed. They did not ask why human AI systems had gone dark on shared networks. They did not ask why human communication suddenly became simpler and shorter. A human intelligence officer noticed that change immediately. Alien systems were becoming louder, more confident. Humans were becoming quieter. This was not coincidence. In war, silence was strength. The officer tagged the behavior as pre-strike confidence. The system agreed. In the outer colonies, civilians began to feel uneasy. Not because of danger, but because of routine changes. Military transports flew at odd hours. Training exercises continued without announcement. Emergency drills were updated, quietly sent to local authorities. No panic was allowed. Fear spread faster than truth. Humanity knew this too. One small human listening post, hidden near a neutral trade lane, detected a coded alien signal. It was weak, layered under normal traffic. To alien systems, it looked like noise. To humans, it was clear enough. A coordination test between fleets. A timing check. The message was forwarded instantly. No alarms sounded. No orders changed. The trap was confirmed. A senior analyst summarized it best in a private report. "They believe peace makes us blind," she wrote. "They believe relief slows us down. They do not understand that humans evolved by expecting betrayal." Her report ended with a simple note. "We see them." As days passed, alien ships moved closer to human borders under legal cover. Their commanders felt safe. The treaty protected them, they thought. Humans watched every move, measured every delay, counted every ship. Databases filled with predictions. Simulations refined themselves. Humanity did not rush. Rushing caused mistakes. Waiting created advantage. In one command center, a junior officer asked a quiet question. "What if they never attack?" The room stayed silent for a moment. Then a commander replied calmly. "Then peace becomes real," he said. "And we stand down slowly." He paused. "But if they do attack, we survive. Either way, we win by being ready." As the second cycle of peace came to an end, alien fleets reached their planned positions. The galaxy still believed in harmony. Human systems marked the phase complete. Observation was ending. Prediction was nearly perfect. Humanity had seen what others missed from the very first day. Peace was not meant to last. It was meant to distract. And while the galaxy slept under friendly words, humanity prepared for the moment when those words would finally break. The third cycle after the peace announcement began quietly. Too quietly. Across the galaxy, trade routes reopened fully, and civilian traffic increased. Markets stabilized. Governments spoke of a new era. To most species, the danger had passed. To humanity, the pattern had reached its next stage. The trap was no longer being designed. It was being tested. Alien communication patterns changed first. Messages became shorter. Response times increased by small but noticeable margins. Diplomatic channels stayed open, but the warmth faded. Questions from human diplomats were answered with delays or vague statements. Officially, it meant nothing. Unofficially, it meant command focus had shifted elsewhere. Human intelligence systems tracked this change carefully. When leaders prepared for war, they stopped talking. When fleets prepared for movement, they simplified communication. These signs were universal, no matter the species. Humanity had learned them the hard way during the war. Now, those same signs were appearing again. Near the edge of human space, alien survey ships crossed invisible borders and claimed navigation error. Under the treaty, humans could not respond aggressively. So they did not. Instead, human sensors followed every movement. Every scan, every course correction, every data burst was recorded. The aliens believed they were probing weak points. In reality, they were revealing their own habits. At the same time, human public behavior remained calm. News channels continued to speak about cooperation. Cultural exchanges were announced. Human leaders attended galactic forums and spoke politely about trust. No one outside human command knew how close the line truly was. Panic would ruin everything. Humanity had decided long ago that fear was a weapon best denied to the enemy. In a deep space human command hub, simulation results updated again. The probability of an alien strike rose sharply. Not immediately, not openly, but soon. Weapon systems on alien ships had begun charging cycles more frequently. Energy signatures appeared for seconds, then vanished. It was practice. Humans did the same before every major battle. They recognized it instantly. A commander reviewed the data and issued a quiet order. Move Phase 2 assets. The order traveled through secure channels and disappeared. Nothing visible changed. Yet across human space, ships adjusted position by small amounts. Defense platforms aligned more precisely. Supply depots unlocked sealed compartments. Everything stayed hidden behind legal and civilian cover. On an alien command vessel near the border, officers studied human space and saw nothing threatening. Human patrols were light. No war fleets visible. No weapon tests. The treaty had worked, they believed. Humanity had relaxed. They allowed themselves confidence, and confidence created impatience. Some commanders began to question why they were waiting at all. This impatience leaked into alien behavior. Small mistakes appeared. A ship drifted out of formation. A sensor array activated too long. A coded transmission repeated itself. Each error was small. Each error was noticed. Human analysts marked them without comment. The enemy was rushing. Humanity was not. In one human colony, far from any border, an evacuation drill was updated. Not announced. Just updated. Local officials received new instructions. Routes were mapped. Shelters checked. Supplies moved quietly. Civilians continued daily life unaware that safety plans had reached their final version. Humanity prepared for the worst while hoping for the best. The first real warning came from an unexpected place. A neutral species sent a private message to human intelligence. Their traders had noticed alien military cargo disguised as aid shipments. The quantities were too large. The destinations were too specific. The message ended with a simple line. "This does not look like peace." Humanity thanked them and added the data to the growing picture. The trap was no longer theory. It was active. Alien fleets began final alignment. They stayed just within treaty boundaries, just beyond legal response range. Their commanders believed the rules protected them. They believed humans would hesitate. What they did not know was that humans had already rewritten those rules in their own simulations. The treaty limited visible action, not preparation. In a human fleet command center, a countdown began. Not to attack, but to readiness. Every system reached peak efficiency. Every crew knew their role. No speeches were given. No dramatic orders were spoken. Humanity did not need motivation. Survival was enough. A junior analyst watched the data and whispered, "They are getting closer." A senior officer nodded. "Yes," he replied, "because they think we are blind." He allowed himself a small, brief smile. Let them. As the cycle ended, alien fleets completed their silent encirclement. Trade lanes narrowed. Communication buffers tightened. The galaxy still spoke of peace, but the space between stars felt heavy. Humanity marked the moment carefully. The trap was almost closed. All that remained was the trigger. And when it came, humanity would not be surprised. When the trap became visible, many would have run. History was full of species that fled at the first sign of betrayal. They scattered, hoping distance would save them. Humanity did not run. Humanity stayed exactly where it was. To the alien commanders watching human space, this looked like fear or confusion. In truth, it was a decision made long before the treaty was signed. Human history was built on standing ground that could not be abandoned. Every war, every disaster, every extinction-level threat had taught the same lesson. Running delayed defeat. Preparation changed outcomes. Humanity had survived not by escaping danger, but by learning how to face it on its own terms. As alien fleets tightened their positions, Human systems measured pressure points. The aliens believed they were closing a net. Humans saw a map of overconfidence. Supply lines stretched thin. Command ships clustered too closely. Energy use increased beyond safe limits. The trap required perfect timing. Humanity had already found where that timing could fail. Inside human command centers, there was no shouting, no dramatic orders, just quiet adjustments. Defensive grids activated under civilian infrastructure. Mining lasers recalibrated into precision weapons, still legal under treaty language. Transport ships were reassigned emergency protocols. Every system served two purposes, and every purpose had been approved months earlier. Human leaders reviewed one final question. Should they warn the galaxy? The answer was no. Warning would expose preparations. Warning would force aliens to act early. Most of all, warning would cause panic among neutral worlds. Humanity chose silence not because it was afraid to speak, but because silence protected more lives. On alien worlds, leaders discussed humanity with growing irritation. Humans were not reacting as expected. There were no protests, no desperate negotiations, no visible reinforcement of borders. Some alien commanders argued that humanity was hiding something. Others dismissed the idea. Humans were young, they said. Young species did not plan deeply. That belief settled the debate. This was the second mistake. Human military doctrine had evolved under constant pressure. Humanity had never been the strongest species in the galaxy. It had never been the oldest. It had survived by learning faster than its enemies. Every alien tactic used during the war had been recorded, studied, and turned into a lesson. The peace treaty was just another tactic. In one remote human research station, scientists monitored alien energy signatures. They noticed fluctuations that suggested stress testing of weapons. The data confirmed human predictions. The aliens were not waiting for permission. They were waiting for advantage. The station sent its report and returned to silence. There was nothing more to say. Civilians across human space felt the tension without understanding it. Ships moved at odd hours. Officials spoke carefully. Emergency services ran quiet drills. Yet daily life continued. Humanity had learned that courage was not loud. Courage was going to work, raising families, and trusting that someone was watching the darkness. A human commander reviewed border projections one last time. The aliens had positioned themselves to strike multiple systems at once. They believed speed would overwhelm humanity. They believed shock would cause surrender. Humanity had planned for shock. Humanity had built systems that thrived under chaos. In alien strategy rooms, final plans were approved. The attack would come without warning. Communication hubs would fall first. Defense platforms would be overwhelmed. Human leadership would be cut off. The war would end quickly. The galaxy would accept the outcome as unfortunate but necessary. Peace would return, this time under alien control. What the aliens did not understand was that humanity had never relied on a single command structure. Human systems were decentralized by design. If one world fell, others would act. If one fleet was destroyed, others would respond automatically. Humanity had learned long ago that unity did not require central control. As the final hours approached, human forces entered full readiness. Not a single treaty rule was broken. Not a single hostile signal was sent. Everything remained legal. Everything remained calm. Humanity waited. In a quiet observation post, an officer looked at the stars and thought about fear. Fear was natural. Fear kept species alive. But fear could not be allowed to rule decisions. Humanity felt fear, acknowledged it, and moved past it. That was the difference. The trap was ready. The galaxy was distracted. The aliens were confident. Humanity stood still. Not because it had nowhere to go, but because it had chosen where to fight. The moment the trap was meant to snap shut arrived without sound. No alarms rang across the galaxy. No explosions marked the beginning of war. From the outside, space looked peaceful, unchanged. But deep within alien fleets, systems began to hesitate. Clocks slipped out of sync. Targeting data lagged by fractions of a second. To most species, such delays were meaningless. To commanders preparing a coordinated strike, they were deadly. Humanity did not fire the first shot. Humanity did not need to. The war began inside alien networks, far from any battlefield. Human code, released silently through channels allowed by the peace treaty, flowed into alien systems like a quiet tide. It did not attack. It observed. It learned. Then it adjusted. Alien commanders gave the order to prepare weapons. Power surged through massive cannons and missile arrays. But the power curves were wrong. Safety limits triggered unexpectedly. Weapon systems powered down for brief moments, then restarted. Crews blamed calibration errors. Engineers worked faster. No one suspected sabotage. After all, the treaty guaranteed shared system standards. That guarantee had been humanity's invitation. Across human space, monitoring stations watched the effect spread. Status lights shifted color. Probability models updated. Humanity remained still. There was no satisfaction, no celebration. This was not victory. This was alignment. Alien fleets attempted to coordinate final positioning. Communication channels flooded with status reports. The volume itself became a problem. Human interference was subtle, legal, and devastating. Messages arrived out of order. Some repeated. Others vanished. The fleets remained close, but no longer perfectly timed. The net they had built began to tangle itself. On a human command station, a senior officer reviewed the situation and gave a simple update. Phase 1 complete. No applause followed. The next phase depended entirely on alien reaction. Humanity would not escalate unless forced to. The goal was not destruction. The goal was control. Alien leaders grew frustrated. Their window was closing. Human space remained quiet, almost inviting. Believing time was being wasted, one commander ordered a partial systems test near the border. Energy weapons powered up again. This time, the delay was longer. Systems shut down completely for several seconds. Panic rippled through the command deck. Engineers reported no damage. No intrusions. Everything appeared normal on the surface. Yet nothing worked as expected. The commander demanded explanations. None were satisfactory. The idea that humans were responsible felt impossible. Humans had done nothing visible. They had broken no rules. That was the third mistake. Humanity had always understood that war did not begin with weapons. It began with preparation, positioning, and patience. The treaty had given humans access they could never have taken by force. Shared protocols. Shared maintenance standards. Shared communication formats. Humanity had studied them all during the months of peace. In distant systems, neutral observers noticed something strange. Alien fleets were active, but not advancing. Signals spiked, then dropped. Energy readings fluctuated. Some traders chose to reroute, sensing danger they could not name. The galaxy felt tension without understanding its source. Inside alien command structures, arguments began. Some leaders wanted to delay. Others wanted to attack immediately before problems worsened. The unity that had supported the trap began to crack. Humanity had not divided them with force. It had allowed their own impatience to do the work. Human fleets remained hidden. No dramatic arrival. No warning broadcast. Humanity waited to see if the enemy would retreat. That option still existed. Peace could still become real if the aliens chose it. They did not. An alien commander, under pressure and fearing loss of control, gave the order to fire a limited strike. A show of strength. A warning. The command traveled through broken networks and reached weapons that were no longer fully obedient. Targeting data corrupted. Firing sequences aborted. One weapon discharged harmlessly into empty space. The galaxy did not see an attack. It saw a malfunction. Human systems recorded the moment carefully. The order had been given. Intent was confirmed. The treaty had been broken, not in action, but in decision. Humanity had what it needed. In human command centers, readiness shifted. Defensive systems locked into final configuration. Fleets prepared to reveal themselves. The first visible move was coming, but it would not be a wild strike. It would be precise. A human commander spoke quietly to his team. "They chose," he said. "Now we respond." His voice carried no anger, only certainty. Across alien fleets, confusion deepened. Their perfect plan had failed without a fight. Their enemy had not run, had not attacked, had not even spoken. The first shot of the war had not been fired. And yet, the war had already begun. The moment humanity decided to act, the galaxy finally noticed something was wrong. Space that had looked empty for weeks began to change. Not with loud arrivals or massive jumps, but with quiet appearances. Human fleets emerged from shadowed orbits, from behind moons, from deep space positions no one believed were occupied. They did not rush forward. They formed lines, clean and precise, like a carefully drawn map coming to life. Alien commanders stared at their sensors in disbelief. These fleets had not been detected before. Treaty rules had limited human military movement, but they had never forbidden positioning. Humanity had obeyed the words, not the assumptions. The realization spread slowly, then all at once. Humans had been everywhere the entire time. Human ships did not open fire. Instead, they activated systems designed for one purpose only: control. Energy waves moved through space, tuned to alien technology frequencies. Shields flickered. Sensors blurred. Weapon locks failed again, this time completely. Alien fleets were powerful, but power without coordination meant nothing. In a human flagship, commanders watched the results with calm focus. Every response matched the simulations. Alien ships attempted to scatter, but their formations collapsed into confusion. They were too close together, too dependent on shared command signals. Humanity had identified this weakness long ago. The first human weapons fired, but they did not destroy. Precision beams struck engines, not hulls. Communication arrays went dark. Power relays shut down cleanly. One by one, alien ships lost the ability to fight, but not the ability to survive. Humanity was sending a message. This was not extermination. This was dominance. Across multiple systems, the same pattern repeated. Human fleets appeared, disabled, and contained alien forces within minutes. No chaotic battles. No uncontrolled destruction. Neutral observers watched in shock as one of the galaxy's most feared armadas became silent clusters of drifting metal. Alien leaders attempted to issue retreat orders. Some orders never arrived. Others arrived too late. Their command structure, once so confident, had shattered under pressure. The trap they built had closed on them instead. On alien worlds, panic spread. News channels struggled to explain what was happening. How could humanity, so quiet for so long, now control entire battle zones without massive loss of life? The answer was simple. Humanity had not waited to learn during the attack. Humanity had learned during peace. Human diplomats finally spoke. Their message was broadcast across all channels, clear and calm. They did not shout. They did not threaten. They stated facts. The treaty had been violated by intent. Humanity had responded to protect itself. All hostile forces were now contained. Further resistance would lead to escalation. The galaxy listened. Inside disabled alien ships, crews waited in silence. Life support remained active. No boarding parties arrived. No finishing strikes followed. Fear turned into confusion. Confusion turned into realization. Humanity could have destroyed them. Humanity had chosen not to. A human commander addressed his fleet privately. "Hold positions," he ordered. "Do not pursue." Some officers felt surprise. Victory was within reach. The enemy was helpless. But humanity had never fought for revenge. Humanity fought for survival and stability. Elsewhere, alien commanders began to understand the full scale of their error. Humanity had not acted emotionally. Humanity had acted logically. Every move had been calculated to limit loss, preserve infrastructure, and maintain moral authority. The galaxy would remember who fired first and who showed restraint. Human defense systems across their worlds remained active, but civilians were never placed in danger. Trade routes were secured. Neutral ships were escorted safely. Humanity was not just winning a war. Humanity was shaping the narrative of peace. In one human colony, citizens finally saw news alerts change tone. Not panic. Not celebration. Just information. Hostile forces neutralized. Defense successful. Normal operations continue. Humanity trusted its people with the truth, but not with fear. Alien leadership councils collapsed into arguments. Some demanded surrender. Others demanded revenge. But revenge required weapons, and weapons no longer answered their commands. Humanity had removed that choice. As hours passed, the galaxy adjusted to a new reality. The species they had underestimated had outplanned them, outweighted them, and outcontrolled them. Humanity had proven something more powerful than strength. Humanity had proven discipline. In a quiet moment aboard a human command ship, an officer looked at the stars and felt something unexpected. Not pride. Not anger. Responsibility. Humanity had stepped into a role it never asked for. Guardian. Enforcer. Example. The war had entered a new phase. The shooting had begun, but destruction had not. Humanity had struck back, not with fury, but with precision. And the galaxy would never forget how fast the balance of power had changed. The galaxy changed its tone within a single cycle. Where there had been celebration and careless talk of peace, there was now silence and uncertainty. News networks replayed the same images again and again. Alien war fleets drifting powerless. Human ships holding perfect formation. No massive explosions. No burning worlds. Just control. Fear did not come from destruction. Fear came from understanding what could have happened and did not. Neutral species gathered emergency councils. They asked the same question in different languages. How had humanity done this so quickly? How had a younger species dismantled one of the largest military forces without open war? The answers were uncomfortable. Humanity had prepared while others relaxed. Humanity had studied while others celebrated. Humanity had waited. Trade routes shifted overnight. Merchants avoided systems near the disabled fleets. Insurance networks raised risk levels across entire regions of space. The galaxy's economy trembled, not because of loss, but because of uncertainty. Everyone realized the old balance was gone. Human diplomatic channels filled with messages. Some species asked for protection. Others asked for explanations. A few demanded answers with anger. Humanity responded to all with the same calm tone. No threats. No apologies. Only facts. The treaty had been abused. Humanity had defended itself. Stability was now the priority. On alien worlds that had supported the attack, fear turned inward. Citizens questioned their leaders. Protests formed. How could such confidence turn into humiliation so fast? Leaders who had promised easy victory now hid behind security fields. Their mistake was no longer just military. It was political. In contrast, human space remained steady. Defense alerts stayed active, but life continued. Schools stayed open. Trade continued under protection. Humanity understood that panic could spread faster than any fleet. They refused to let it. In a neutral system near the edge of the conflict, a council of minor species debated their future. Some argued they should align with humanity. Others feared becoming targets. One elder spoke a truth many feared to admit. Humanity did not attack us, he said. Humanity attacked those who lied. The room fell silent. That difference mattered. Alien commanders trapped within disabled fleets sent messages to their homeworlds. Some admitted failure. Some begged for rescue. Some warned of further human capabilities. Those warnings caused more fear than the defeat itself. If this was only the beginning, what else had humanity prepared? Human intelligence monitored the galaxy's reaction carefully. Fear could be useful, but uncontrolled fear led to chaos. Humanity wanted order, not collapse. They began escorting neutral ships. They reopened safe trade corridors. They demonstrated responsibility alongside power. A group of species formally requested human mediation in the conflict. Humanity accepted, not because they wanted authority, but because someone had to stop escalation. They had proven they could. On one alien world, a young officer watched the news and felt a shift in belief. Humans were not monsters. They were not conquerors. They were something worse to those who relied on deception. They were impossible to trick twice. As the days passed, alliances reshaped quietly. Some species withdrew support from the defeated aliens. Others remained silent, waiting to see what humanity would do next. The galaxy leaned forward, listening. Human leaders met again, reviewing outcomes. Their actions had succeeded beyond expectations. But success carried weight. Every decision now would define humanity's place among the stars. They could rule through fear or guide through example. The choice was clear to them. Publicly, humanity announced limited objectives. No territorial expansion. No forced occupation. Disabled fleets would remain contained until formal negotiations concluded. Civilian harm would be avoided at all costs. The message spread quickly. Fear did not vanish, but it changed shape. It became respect. Alien leadership councils fractured completely. Some leaders were removed by their own people. Others fled. The unity that had planned the trap no longer existed. Humanity had not destroyed it. Humanity had exposed it. In distant systems, children watched the stars and asked their elders about humans. The answers were careful now. Humans were dangerous, they said, but not cruel. Strong, but controlled. The kind of neighbor you did not lie to. As the galaxy settled into uneasy calm, one truth became clear. The conflict had moved beyond fleets and weapons. It had become a test of character. Humanity had passed its first test. Fear had spread across the stars. And for the first time, that fear pointed in a single direction. When fear failed to break humanity, the last secret was revealed. Deep within alien command archives, a protocol older than most living species was unlocked. It had been designed for a single purpose. If defeat became certain, if control was lost, the final weapon would be used. Not to win a war, but to erase an enemy from history. Humanity was never meant to survive long enough to face it. The weapon was not a ship or a bomb. It was a network. An ancient system built into the structure of space itself. Long ago, the aliens had learned how to bend star lanes, how to twist energy flows, how to turn entire regions of space into hostile environments. Once activated, the weapon would collapse navigation paths, overload reactors, and tear apart fleets caught inside. No defense had ever stopped it. No species had ever adapted to it. Human intelligence detected the activation signals almost immediately. They were subtle, hidden beneath emergency communications and political chaos. But the pattern was wrong. Energy spikes aligned too perfectly across multiple systems. Humanity had studied alien history for decades. This pattern was marked in red long before the peace treaty was ever signed. In human command centers, silence fell again. This was not an expected escalation. This was desperation. The kind of move that ignored consequences. Humanity understood the risk instantly. If the weapon activated fully, millions could die. Not just humans. Entire neutral regions would collapse into chaos. A decision was made in seconds. Humanity would not allow it. The ancient weapon relied on predictability. It targeted fleets, supply lines, and stable star routes. Humanity had changed how it moved through space during the war. Human ships did not rely on fixed paths. They used adaptive navigation, microjumps, and decentralized travel patterns. The weapon could not lock on to chaos. As activation continued, alien operators watched in confusion. The system failed to identify primary human targets. Data returned incomplete. Targeting fields drifted. The weapon searched for a pattern that did not exist. Humanity had already broken it. Human scientists and AI systems went further. They injected false data into the ancient network. They fed it phantom fleets, ghost signals, and shifting coordinates. The weapon reacted as it was designed to. It tried to compensate. In doing so, it turned on itself. Energy flows destabilized. Controlled distortions became unpredictable. The weapons network began damaging alien-controlled regions instead of human space. Alarms filled alien command centers. Operators tried to shut the system down, but it resisted. It had been built to finish its task at any cost. Human fleets moved quickly, but not to attack. They repositioned to contain the damage. Emergency stabilizers were deployed. Navigation warnings were broadcast across the galaxy. Humanity acted not as a victor, but as a safeguard. Neutral worlds watched in horror as space itself twisted in distant systems. Then they watched in disbelief as human ships moved into the danger zones and held them stable. No species had ever done that. No species had ever treated space itself as a battlefield. Alien leaders finally understood the scale of their failure. Their greatest weapon had been rendered useless not by superior force, but by superior adaptation. Humanity had not tried to overpower the ancient system. Humanity had made it irrelevant. As the weapon destabilized further, human forces isolated its core nodes. Precision strikes disabled control points without triggering collapse. It was the most dangerous operation humanity had ever attempted. One mistake could have shattered entire regions. Yet every move was measured, tested, and verified. Finally, the ancient network went silent. Space slowly returned to normal. Trade lanes reopened. Energy flows stabilized. The galaxy exhaled. Humanity broadcast a single message across all channels. The weapon is neutralized. Do not attempt reactivation. This is your final warning. There was no threat in the words. Only certainty. On alien worlds, the truth could no longer be hidden. Leaders admitted the existence of the weapon. Citizens reacted with shock and anger. The weapon meant to protect them had nearly destroyed everyone. Humanity had stopped it. In human command, officers allowed themselves a moment of relief. Not celebration. Relief. They had faced extinction and prevented it without losing control. Humanity had proven something even more important than strength. They had proven responsibility. The weapon meant to end humanity had failed. And in failing, it had ended the war instead. After the ancient weapon was neutralized, the galaxy fell into an uneasy silence. The fear that had spread from human space now reached every corner of civilization. Neutral worlds trembled as they realized how close they had come to catastrophe. Alien fleets drifted aimlessly, damaged, confused, and leaderless. Humanity could have taken advantage of the chaos, could have conquered without resistance. Yet humanity paused. They did not strike. They did not expand. They faced the greatest choice a species could face, to wield power for revenge or for restraint. In human command centers, leaders gathered to discuss the next steps. Maps of fleets and colonies covered tables. Probability models flickered across screens. Every scenario had been simulated. Every consequence calculated. Humanity could have destroyed alien infrastructure, eliminated leadership, and reshaped the galaxy under its control. It was within their ability. Yet the consensus was clear: restraint. Destruction would solve nothing. Peace and stability required more than fear. They had already proven they could dominate. Now they had to decide if they would lead or rule. Across human colonies, civilians continued their daily lives unaware of the full scale of events. Schools, factories, and markets remained active. Trade resumed under protective convoys. Humanity understood that control without trust would lead to resentment and chaos. They had won by strategy, not by slaughter, and now they had to prove the victory could sustain itself. Alien leaders communicated frantically, desperate for negotiations. Some offered surrender. Others tried to bargain for leniency, promising loyalty, resources, or secrets. Humanity listened. Not with arrogance, but with judgment. Every offer was weighed not for profit, but for stability. The galaxy had been on the brink of collapse, and now it had a chance to reset. In a neutral system near the center of conflict, representatives of multiple species arrived for talks. They had witnessed humanity's precision and discipline. They had seen fleets immobilize the largest alien armadas without firing a destructive salvo. Their presence was a warning and an opportunity. Humanity had shown power, and now the galaxy watched to see what they would do with it. The human representative opened the negotiations with calm authority. "We do not seek dominion," he said. "We seek balance. The war has ended. Any further conflict will be met with decisive defense, not vengeance. We will enforce stability, but we will not punish unnecessarily. The choice now belongs to all of you." His words carried weight. They were not a threat, yet they resonated as powerfully as any fleet. Within alien fleets, officers debated quietly. Some felt relief that humanity did not attack. Others seethed with humiliation. Their arrogance had been exposed, their greatest weapon had failed, and their fleets had been neutralized without loss of life. They realized that humans were not only capable of strategy but also capable of mercy. For the first time, fear was accompanied by respect. In human strategic command, leaders discussed the logistics of governance. Borders needed protection. Trade routes needed supervision. Civilian populations required security. Humanity had the ability to reshape politics across multiple systems. Yet the decision remained consistent. They would guide, not dominate. They would ensure survival, not impose rule. They had won, but winning did not mean controlling. It meant responsibility. During negotiations, alien representatives offered access to their archives, energy reserves, and fleet coordination data. Humanity accepted, but only to maintain order. They did not plunder. They did not claim territory. They ensured that the systems necessary to prevent future catastrophe remained functional. Every decision was deliberate, precise, and restrained. Humanity's actions demonstrated power, intelligence, and morality in equal measure. Meanwhile, across neutral worlds, observers began to adjust expectations. Humans were no longer just a surviving species. They were a model. A species that had faced extinction, betrayal, and the largest threats the galaxy had ever produced, and yet had chosen strategy over revenge. Their restraint created the possibility of a new era, one where fear of power was replaced by confidence in justice and foresight. In the final moments of the first formal negotiations, humanity issued one more directive. All species will submit future military coordination plans for review until trust is rebuilt. Any attempt to conceal offensive systems will be treated as a threat. Peace is earned through transparency and action, not through trickery. The directive was simple, clear, and enforceable. The galaxy understood that humanity's leadership was firm but fair. As human fleets returned to orbiting positions, maintenance and observation continued. Systems were fully operational but non-threatening. Fleets were ready, but not aggressive. Humanity had proven that survival required vigilance, not provocation. They had chosen restraint over chaos, guidance over conquest. In the weeks following, alien leadership councils changed fundamentally. Older, aggressive commanders were removed. New leaders emerged willing to cooperate, if only to prevent another display of human discipline. Across neutral space, species adjusted trade, diplomacy, and communication with caution and respect. Humanity's decision had created a galaxy aware of consequences but capable of hope. Finally, in one quiet command room, a senior officer looked at a map of human-controlled and observed regions and spoke softly. "We could have destroyed them all." He paused. "But we didn't. That is what makes us human." The room remained silent. There was no applause. Just understanding. Humanity had faced a choice unlike any other, and they had chosen wisely. The first true era of interstellar peace began not with treaties, not with weapons, but with a choice. Humanity had proven that power without wisdom could destroy worlds, but power with wisdom could shape the future. For the first time, the galaxy believed not just in human strength, but in human judgment. The war had ended. Humanity had survived. And the choice they made would be remembered for generations. The galaxy had changed forever. Months after the weapon was neutralized and the alien fleets rendered harmless, a fragile calm spread across star systems. Where once there had been fear, confusion, and uncertainty, there was now cautious trust. Trade routes reopened fully. Diplomatic channels filled with genuine communication instead of deception. Neutral species cautiously adjusted their plans, realizing that humanity's actions had reshaped power across the stars. For the first time, peace was not just a word on a treaty. This time, peace was real. Human fleets returned to patrol positions, fully operational but non-threatening. Ships glided in perfect formation, ready to respond, but never to attack. Civilian vessels moved freely. Colonies that had remained tense began to relax. Humanity understood that power without perception of fairness could be dangerous. They had survived betrayal and near annihilation, and now their role was to maintain order, not to dominate. Every action, every patrol, every signal broadcast was designed to reassure, not intimidate. In the central command stations, human leaders worked tirelessly to implement new interstellar agreements. These agreements were not imposed, they were proposed with transparency and logic. All major species agreed to share fleet movements, defensive protocols, and emergency procedures. Humanity had proven that cooperation could succeed where deceit had failed. Neutral observers marveled at how a young species had forced a lesson on the galaxy. Strength was meaningless without responsibility, and survival required more than power, it required trust. Across alien worlds, leadership had changed dramatically. Aggressive commanders who had relied on trickery were removed. New leadership, more cautious and aware of humanity's capabilities, emerged. Plans for revenge were quietly abandoned. Alien populations, once confident in their power, now spoke of humanity with a mixture of respect and caution. No species wished to test humans again, for they had seen what restraint combined with strategy could achieve. Humanity did not celebrate victory openly. There were no parades or grand proclamations. Instead, life continued quietly. Schools operated. Trade resumed. Colonies rebuilt damaged infrastructure. Humanity had learned from its own history. Flaunting power invited envy, fear, and rebellion. Subtlety and discipline were more effective than triumphal displays. Every civilian and military action was now part of a larger system of maintenance, observation, and careful engagement. One by one, previously hostile fleets returned to homeworlds, escorted safely by human convoys. No ships were destroyed unnecessarily. Lives were preserved. Humanity demonstrated that the strongest species could also be the most restrained. Across neutral worlds, citizens began to feel a sense of stability for the first time in decades. The galaxy had witnessed conflict, deception, and nearly total destruction. Now it saw governance guided by wisdom and control. In Central Command, human leaders reviewed new reports daily. Sensors tracked fleet movements, communication signals, and civilian traffic. The galaxy had changed, and vigilance was still necessary. Yet the difference now was subtle. Humanity watched not for fear of betrayal, but to ensure that peace endured. Lessons from the past guided them. They understood that treaties alone could not guarantee safety. Observation, preparation, and careful engagement were required to maintain order without aggression. For the first time, diplomacy became genuine. Species that had once relied on spies and sabotage now approached humanity openly. Discussions focused on rebuilding, sharing technology, and establishing joint defense systems. Humanity encouraged transparency, but without coercion. The galaxy began to understand that humans were not conquerors but enforcers of stability. Power without cruelty became a new standard. Human engineers and scientists worked to repair damages caused by the ancient weapon and disrupted fleets. They stabilized navigation routes, rebuilt energy conduits, and ensured star lanes remained open for trade. Systems once designed for destruction were repurposed for safety. Every action demonstrated that humans valued life and order over dominance. The galaxy observed, learning that restraint could be a force as powerful as any weapon. In one remote observation post, a young officer looked out over the stars and thought of the past years. Humanity had faced betrayal, nearly faced extinction, and confronted weapons capable of ending entire civilizations. Yet every time, they had responded with strategy, patience, and intelligence. They had proven that fear could be overcome by foresight, that power could be tempered by morality, and that true leadership did not require conquest. As weeks passed, humanity began formalizing a new interstellar council. Representatives from all species participated. Humans did not seek control but provided guidance, ensuring that communication, trade, and security could continue without deception. Past mistakes would not be forgotten, But the focus was now on constructive collaboration. Humanity's victory had been decisive yet restrained, and now it would become a model for cooperation across the stars. Finally, in a quiet moment aboard a flagship orbiting a neutral world, a senior commander addressed the crew. "We could have ruled through fear. We could have destroyed anyone who opposed us. But we chose differently. We chose to protect, to guide, to lead responsibly. That is what makes us human. That is why peace is real this time." The crew understood. There was no applause. Only solemn recognition of what had been achieved. Humanity had survived, not by overwhelming force, but by discipline, foresight, and choice. The galaxy had learned a profound lesson. Strength without wisdom could destroy worlds. Wisdom without strength could be ignored. Humanity had combined both, proving that survival, peace, and stability were possible in a universe that often rewarded deceit and aggression. Where fear had once ruled, respect and cautious trust now prevailed. As the stars shimmered across countless systems, humanity remained vigilant. Fleets patrolled quietly. Observation stations remained active. Diplomacy continued. Civilization had a chance to rebuild, and humanity ensured it would endure. The peace that had been promised in treaties, broken in deception, and nearly lost to war was finally real. And as humans looked out across the galaxy, they understood one truth above all: patience, strategy, and moral choice could change the fate of worlds. For the first time, the galaxy believed in humanity, not just as a survivor, but as a guardian. This time, peace was real.